caught up watching your video there, Chuck. That spinning rock in the twirly castle thing. That's some good stuff you did there.
Yeah, I got my moments.
You got your moments, is that what you said? Well, we are here again on, what is today? This is November 11th. And we're here for Ask Me Anything, like usual on Tuesday. And we're joined today by Hal. No, with Hal. Is that by Hal or with Hal? I'm not sure how that works. However that works. From Shard Tabletop. This is November 11th. And we're here for Ask Me Anything, like usual on Tuesday. And we're joined today by Hal. God. No, Chuck, is that you?
Yeah, Chuck's got his mic on still.
Chuck, you got to clear your mic. Hey, Chuck, we're getting some horrible feedback. Chuck. I don't think he can hear us. There we go. Wait, is he gone? All right, so we're all right, so we're good. Chuck was doing a little bit of testing there. Chuck, you're back again.
There we go.
Are we good now? Are we good now?
I don't know. Can you hear me, Steve?
Yeah.
I can hear you, Al.
I forgot.
Okay, good.
I forgot to mute my mic.
Good.
Go ahead.
We're all good. At any rate, we're here for Ask Me Anything. And generally, we just kind of open up the floor for any kind of questions for me about the industry, about Troller games, Kickstarters, products, any of that stuff. But today, we're going to shift a little focus to Shard Tabletop. Hal and Chuck have been working really hard to get Troll Lord over there so that we can kind of join what's going on over there. So what I'd like to do is just kind of open it up to you, Hal, and let you kind of let everyone know what's going on over there, if you would.
Great. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to everybody. What I thought I'd do today is just do a quick run through of the A0 module that we just launched for free for everybody. So A0, the Rising Knight, is out there available for everybody that uses Shard Tabletop, and the account is free, so there's no cost any way around for anybody that wants to give it a try. So let me just share my screen real quick, and I'll walk you through it. So there we go. We're gonna share. Yeah, let's just share the monitor.
So now, Shard, this is Hal. Let's have to call you Shard. That's great. That's absolutely
That's all right.
I knew I would do that. So now what we're looking at is another VTT platform, right?
That's right. So my best friend from high school and I've been playing D&D together since 1982. So we've played for a long time, right? And a few years started playing again after we both left Microsoft corporate world and looked at all the virtual tabletops that are out there and went, we're not impressed. They're either too hard to use or they think they're video games, right? And no disrespect to any of them, they all have an audience and all of them appeal to somebody, right? But they didn't appeal to us, right? And that sort of stuff. So we basically said, look, let's write a tool because we're both software engineers. Let's write a tool that appeals to us, right? And so we started writing it, and then along comes COVID and locks everybody down. And suddenly, friends are asking, well, can we use your tool? And by May 1st, we said, let's just open it up and let people start using it. And so it's been a wild ride since then. There are now thousands of people that use Shard every week for their games and growing. And we're now working with various content partners like yourselves to bring more content and headed toward a formal launch of the tool, commercial launch of the tool in the first quarter of next year, probably January. What we're headed for. All right, so what I'm on here, right, is I'm just looking at your partner page on our website. So this is just a little announcement of the partnership. And on there is a button directly to jump in and get A0 for free. So we're just going to jump in, get A0 for free here. And what's going to happen is it's going to actually open my account. Since I'm already a registered user, it's just going to jump straight in here and give me, hey, you want to add this shared package. And if we look at the package details, it'll tell me all about it, your description of the module. It's got a book, 38 pieces of art, 4 random encounter tables, 45 different monsters, 3 maps, 5 pre-generated characters, and 26 encounters built in this module. So it's a pretty big module. It's pretty healthy size module, right? And so if I close that off and say add it, what it's going to do is going to jump me directly into the tabletop here. and open the book for me. So here I've got the book, and if I want to just go down to Malforton, and I should have asked you how to pronounce that.
You got it right, Malforton.
Right, and look at what's going on here. Let's see. Let me.
Baby knocked. Man, I haven't looked at A0 in a long time. It's interesting watching this stuff move into this new platform. I was having a conversation this morning with one of my writers. He's not real thrilled with the movement that RPGs are making onto the online forum. Not that, like you said, with COVID, many of us don't have much of a choice, one way or the other, because it's just the way it is.
Right.
But it's definitely, I think, bringing, I don't know if a new audience, maybe, almost definitely a new audience to tabletop. There's just absolutely no doubt.
No question. And it's interesting that a lot of that audience is actually learning to play by watching Twitch, by watching, folks play on Twitch, right? And that sort of stuff. So they, unlike their predecessors that didn't, like us, that learned in the 80s, they didn't buy some thick rule book and spend hours driving through it. They watched somebody else play the game. They got the gist of what's going on, and they're looking for a quick, simple, easy tool to go learn the game with. And so,
and what you mentioned there is something I haven't talked about this in a long time, but like you, I came up in the 80s. I started gaming back in about 77, 76, something like that, 77, 78. Yeah. And I remember in the 80s, there was a serious, it almost hit to an elitist point where you couldn't be just a random customer that didn't know what D&D was and go into a store and buy D&D without getting lectured about how you're supposed to do it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and it became this bar, and I think it drove a lot of people away from the hobby that it should not have done.
Right, and right now we're kind of enjoying a rebirth of the hobby, really, in the last 5-6 years. I think there's been a lot of new people. It's now a hip thing to do. There's a lot of Hollywood stars that are playing tabletop role-playing games on live streams and that sort of stuff, and really sort of bringing a lot of new audience in, and that's good from my point of view. That's great for because I've enjoyed the games for like 40 years, and I can't imagine not playing D&D or any tabletop role-playing game. And so it's like, it's fun, right? And that sort of stuff. Exactly. So what I've done here is I've just brought up the book, and you notice it's a map here. And if we zoom in on our map, you'll see that several of the important locations are marked. So the adventure here starts in the town of Malforton, and Malforton has got several interesting locations: the Empty Flagon, which is an inn, the jail, a shrine, and some important homes for the various NPCs and so forth. And so if we looked at how any of these are defined, if we went in and looked at what's going on here in the encounter, we've actually marked this. Errol is an important NPC. He's kind of the almost the town sheriff, sort of, in the town. There really isn't a mayor of Malforton, and he's one of the more respected members of the team. But we've actually defined an encounter that gives you a token for him, a full stat block, and everything else. All that's in the module, and it's predefined, ready to go. So you can literally just run this encounter on the fly. More than that, this is just the book view. If we actually wanted to start a campaign around this, what we do is go over here and say start a new campaign, and let's see, demo for TLG. All right, so let's start a new campaign here, and we're going to go pick the book, and we're going to pick, of course, we're going to pick TLG A0. Right, that's the one we want to run. And you notice right off the bat here it says, do you want to add the 5 pre-generated characters? So we added 5 pre-generated characters to the book, so that if you want to get a game up and going, you can literally invite players and have them claim these pre-generated characters right off the bat.
Oh, nice!
You're up and running. You're up and running, right? No, So it's a great way to have an introductory module, or a quick one-shot that, hey, I just want to have characters at the right level. This happens to be a level 1 plus adventure, right? And so that's the way this one works, and then we can sort of scale down back to Malforton here, or to any of our locations. And if we look at our book here on that, it's actually loaded in the map viewer here. And as our players join, they would see a version of this map, right? So this is the map they're going to see, and all of the work that goes with it, and we can unfog it and get up and go on relatively quickly here. So this is start to finish the way this thing works. So you get up and going very, very quickly. Let's actually switch and go to Balon Nacht, which is the dungeon in this encounter, so we can actually show kind of what a real encounter looks like, and that sort of stuff. So let's go down to one of the encounter areas, which is the entry here, and say, hey, let's load the entry encounter.
So
notice it automatically.
Hey, Hal, this is going to be with the CK, the GMCs, right?
Yes, this is exactly what the GM sees in this case, start to finish. For some reason, we're having a little lag here on the loading. I think what you're seeing and what I'm seeing are slightly different. But I don't know if Skype's interfering with something or eating key commands or what's going on. But you can see the tracker over here got loaded with all the goblins. 2 of them automatically have the sleeping condition, which is what it says in the text, right? So we actually set up the encounter so that they're sleeping. One of them is also drunk, which is another thing that was set up. So it had a reduced stat block based on it being drunk. So it has its own special stat block, and so on. So we can actually go in and see these creatures in the tracker directly. If we go look at them here, we can see your beautiful token for the goblin, and all of the stats, and the suffers from -2 on all attack rolls already factored into the blow. So you see this one only has +2 or attack rolls because he's drunk, versus we look at the normal goblin +4, right, on his attack rolls. So
that sounds like Davis's NPCs. I think every single monster Davis puts in, and human, demi-human, humanoid, whatever, he puts in, he's got to have some kind of something
I curse that
with
man.
him.
I curse him.
Right. Yeah, I believe you. So let me see if I can get the.
So now Piper Dog just asked if you have an integrated video chat, and Haley answered that you use Discord. So how actually does that work? You can open this up, and then you'd have Discord open simultaneously. Is that how that would work?
Yeah, so you'd open Discord in the background and use the voice or chat capabilities there. We are looking at adding. I have to switch back and forth between 2 different windows and that sort of stuff. But but right now we use Discord in the background for all the audio and the chat features. You're probably going to have an audio service open anyway, and so we don't have an integrated chat directly in it. But
are you going to be able to use Discord's video with that?
Yes, you can use Discord's video. In fact, I was showing Chuck last night as we were working on the final details of the launch messaging today. One of our partners was streaming a game via Shard, and that we've actually got a watch mode screen that shows the player's view of the map, the combat tracker with card views of what's going on and that sort of stuff, so that your viewers can actually see more than the players do about what's going on with the game. So it's somewhere between the game view, just all the details.
It was absolutely slick, man. He blew my mind with it. Really cool.
Because again, we know that more and more people are learning the game by watching, right? And so we wanted our streaming partners to have a tool that they could use that would be very instructive about how to play the game, right? And so that's what we did. And so yeah, the videos, the Skype is interfering with mouse clicks or something here, so we're seeing a partially formed version of the screen here, where the correct map is not in the center of the screen, but you are seeing the combat tracker, the die roller, many of the things. So let me just go ahead and open up a monster here and make a roll. You'll notice that these dice or these attacks have a die roll embedded in them. All you do when you create a monster in Shard to do that die roll is just bold the attack roll or the damage, and it will our system will automatically pick up the idea that that's a die roll and knows what's going on. So I roll my 2-hit roll. 7's probably not going to hit, so let's try again. 23 probably is, so let me roll some damage, and there you go. You're away and running with this, and that's same true for any character and that sort of stuff. Fully integrated character sheet. And all the work that's going on there. So
now, so another question, that the damage that's displaying on your screen, again, is that just for the GM to see, or does everyone see that?
It's the GM's choice. So the GM has a setting here where the GM can decide whether, so if in their setting, so they can decide whether they want to hide their rolls or if they want to display all the rolls. rolls, and that's the style of thing you can choose. They can also pick what dice set they want to use. So we've got a number of integrated dice sets. So let's say you prefer the purple ones, right? And close that off, and then your next die roll here is going to show up with a purple dice, right? And that sort of stuff. So you get.
That's good. I'm one of those. I like to have control over the dice when I'm running a game. So screens. Sure. I use screens all the time, so I wouldn't want the players to see. So that's a great option in there.
Right. So the interesting thing is that by default the GM's rolls are hidden, but all the players actually see each other's roll, which for us actually, the excitement of somebody rolls a critical hit. And that sort of stuff, you can see each other's rolls.
Oh, very cool.
And so each person can pick their own dice color and do a little personalization. They can create their own tokens and all that stuff. So let's take for example, instead of claiming one of the characters here. Let's go ahead and create a new character. So let's say we want to create a new character. Notice we've got a built-in random name generator, so I can go to a name I like. Where I can type in anything I want. And then when I drop in a name creator, I can pick, my race. Let's try dwarf, hill dwarf, and then I'll choose a dwarf appropriate name. So let's do that. We can choose any of the options that come with it. It gives me full description.
Hey, we're getting an echo. Some folks in the streamer saying they're getting an echo. Chuck, you hearing that?
I had to bring in his screen. I'm assuming it's the screen. I had to bring in another source. Should be fixed now.
Okay. All right. So if we pick a background, we'll just pick that one for now. You can build additional ones if you like. You can pick a class, right? But all the way down to the end, right, when you made all your choices about skills and everything, you can see this understands sort of the basic skill sets of the rule set, right? So the 5e rule set is all in here, so we can pick various domains and so on. And then all the way down to, hey, I got this dwarven cleric that I can go search the web for a token for, right? So let me go search the web for a token, and I want one on a transparent background, so I can click a token. All right, so let's choose this guy, right? As the token, and we pick that, and we're off and running, right? We can change the token border if we want, so let's change to something a little more exciting. We can change to a different background if we like. Let's change that and say save. And now our token has been loaded, and we're off to the races for joining the game and so on. So,
this is really interesting to me because you're talking to that fella earlier this morning about, the video is moving everything virtually is horrible and it's not the way it's supposed to be done. And that's just not true, because watching you kind of unfold this, especially looking at that token, I can't count the number of times in the past 500 million years that players have printed off sheets of paper and brought it to the table. It's essentially the same thing. It's just giving you more resources, and it's a lot smoother.
That's right. So it simplifies the process of creating a character and picking some art to represent your character. You can upload your own art too. So if you've got an artistic flair or a friend with an artistic flair and you want to draw your own thing, you can upload your own token art and so on. All the things in our tool. So you noticed when we were looking at your module, there were a number of custom monsters like the drunk goblin and all that sort of thing, right? Different ones, right? But and you guys have a version of Pixie that's common to your modules and that sort of stuff. We're able to actually create any and all of those things here. So anything in this reference section can be created. So if we look at the monsters, for example, if we want to know all the ones that come from your particular book, so we want to know which ones come from the Rising Knight, here you go. Here's all the NPCs and monsters that are coming out of that book. So in terms of what's going on, so you can see a full list of all the monsters that are coming out of there, and we can open and look at any one of them. So there's, apparently a special version of the Goblin Cook here that gives you, a frying pan as a melee weapon, right? So he still has all the normal stuff, but he's got a different weapon that he uses. So there's all fun stuff, right? You get the Pixie Queen, right? And you guys were kind enough to have art for everything. The ones that are our standard built-in monsters, we have all the art for. Any of the custom monsters, you guys provide your own art for, and that's what makes it a great thing. So you can see all of the capabilities here on display.
So a question was asked. I knew would come out of this stream. 42 Data Squirrels has asked, "Is there a CNC character sheet yet?" And obviously, what you're working on now is 5e, but we do have plans for moving like Castles and Crusades to Shard, don't we?
We're talking about that very thing, and it's a trade-off between how much of the content we can bring over for everybody and how much we focus on the development of the CNC character sheet. But we're talking about that exact thing in terms of how we move forward together, right? Obviously, CNC is a very similar system, so it's not that different from 5e in terms of the core concepts. There are some mechanics that are different and that sort of stuff, and so we will work on bringing that across. But for now,
so let me ask
5e.
you. And so this will probably help some of the folks out there. So on Fantasy Grounds, you've got to purchase the rule set and then go. Is that necessary on Shard?
It's not. So the full 5e SRD is built into the tool, so there's no separate rule set to purchase, right?
Okay, cool.
And that sort of stuff. And because A0 is free, you can literally get up and run and control a large module absolutely free, right? So now some of the additional modules we are, as a part of our launch in January, some of the additional Troll Lords modules will come as a part of the Kickstarter that we're doing. So the porting of those modules over to Shard will be funded during the Kickstarter, and then additional ones will also be available in the marketplace when it goes live after the Kickstarter. So there'll be a marketplace where you can go buy modules.
And how can I ask a question? I'm assuming that if we get everyone to back the Kickstarter, we could maybe get CNC in there. Have like 500 or 600.
Yeah, I think if we had a really big Kickstarter, we'd be willing to talk about that. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously the focus right now for us is getting to commercial launch, and the reality is of all tabletop gaming out there right now, 5e represents about 60% of all tabletop games being played in any form. And so that was the market we decided to focus on first, but there's absolutely nothing that prevents us from adding additional rule sets. It's just time and
launching with 5e makes perfect sense.
Right, well, it's the same reason that you guys publish material for 5e, right? There's an audience there, right?
Well, we launched with 3rd edition. When we first started, we did our own game called Swords and Wizards. We did that for about a year. We really didn't even do that for a year. If you look at it, it was designed with 3rd edition in mind. And then immediately switched to D20, and that's what we did because they're the literal 800-pound gorilla. So I guess not literal. It's not a literal gorilla, but
that's right. But it's interesting, right? As big as 5e is, right, and that sort of stuff. It's amazing to me how many third-party publishers are out there that are flourishing, with or without Wizards, right? So
the way that works, I've been doing this for a while now. When Wizards of the Coast is doing poorly, say under 4th edition, it did rather poorly. Our sales dropped. Now, as soon as 5th edition began to hit, our sales went back up.
That's right.
It's just the way the market works.
Right. The whole market rises and falls together. That's just kind of the way it is, right? And they're the market maker, like it or not, right? And that's
and it's good because it's anytime you have a larger company that's able to put a mountain of money and effort into expanding the market, then you get new players and new people, and those people come in and then this is a really cool hobby, so they start looking at other stuff and they find Troll Lord or Goodman or whoever.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly right. And so we were talking earlier about those pre-generated characters. Well, here they are for the module.
Very
so
cool.
You can pick these. If you join the campaign as a character, you get to pick one of these as a starting point, or you can create your own. It's up to you. So yeah, I mean the idea for us is as we look out, right, as much as I love some of the stuff Wizards doing, I think there's a lot more creativity in the third-party community. I read your stuff and I love it, right? I think it's just fantastic, right? New stuff, old stuff, I think it's just really good. I was a big backer of the Gax More for 5e campaign because I think that's a fantastic book. I've got it, I've read it, I've run some of the scenarios out of it, and that sort of stuff. I also, there's many other publishers out there that are doing great work on 5e that, it
is a very, very vibrant community. It's actually one of the things I like about, I was trying to explain earlier this pre-stream to this fellow that all of this VTT stuff puts this hobby onto Steam, and being on Steam is huge because Steam is it's the largest marketplace for games I think probably the world's ever seen.
Yeah.
And having your hobby on there is a good thing, and it can't do anything but help the tabletop industry. It just can't.
That's right. That's right. And I think, the more we can sort of act as community. I think of the tabletop gaming community in a lot of the ways. You'll see these barrel heads behind me here on the wall, right? I'm in the wine business as well. And the wine business is one of those special things where we actually want to be co-located with our competitors. We actually, one tasting room is like nobody goes to it. But if there are 30 of them in one location, right, everybody shows up for the weekend and has a great time. Right, it becomes a tourist destination, right, and that sort of thing. And to me, variety in gaming is the key to this industry thriving. Is right, is to have as many voices represented as possible, both on the publisher side and on the player side, right? To have as many people as possible and be, because the game I love may not be the game somebody else loves, but if we can embrace as many publishers as possible, then we'll have something for everybody. And we want to be a part of that ecosystem, a part of that marketplace, and have great gaming for anybody that shows up. So.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I remember when Davis started before I did, and I didn't have any money in those days, but he had a job back in the 70s. Davis is my older brother, and he would buy, we only played AD&D. That's really all I remember, some Gamma World.
Yeah.
But he would buy anything that came out. I have a box somewhere around here just filled with RPGs because in the late 70s, early 80s, just all these RPGs started coming out from, every direction. We didn't play them, but he bought them, read them, absorbed content and brought it into the game.
Yeah, even if you don't use the content as is, if it's just inspiration for your own game, it's like reading history or novels or anything else, right? It inspires your thinking, right? It's a way
absolutely.
I don't know how many adventures have been written based on history or on mythology or you name it, right? Those are all rich sources of inspiration, and so are other writers, right? That write for tabletop games. So
yeah, absolutely, and it's wherever you can get it.
Yeah. So I think just stop.
Well, this looks very cool. I'm pretty excited about it. I think the code we released the Codex Egyptium and then the Codex Keltarum, and we've got the Lost City of Gaxmore at the printers, and all three of those projects turned out to be far larger than I thought. And for the past 5 months, they've just consumed about every waking moment that I've had. So we wrapped up Gaxmore, I guess 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. I was able to kind of stop and regroup and see where we were on a lot of these platforms, and obviously. Chuck had mentioned to me Shard a dozen times, and you put it on the shelf and
yeah, sure,
move on with getting through the Lost City. And then as soon as it was done, Chuck gave me a crash course on where we were and whatnot. And this is just pure awesome that this stuff is. That A0 is now up and on this VTT. You can snatch it for free from your website right now, and then you guys are moving aggressively into the marketplace in January with the Kickstarter.
That's exactly right, and there'll be more news on that from both of us because we're both involved. So it'll be great.
Yeah, it's just friggin' awesome. That's like 2 months from now. I mean, that's just awesome.
That's right. That's right. Trust me, I feel the pressure. So it's all good though.
It tends to go faster and faster and faster.
Yeah, I mean. From something that started, not that long ago, just for something, fun project with friends and so forth, and suddenly turned into something we thought would be an interesting and viable business. And we've had a great time meeting all the people out here in the 5e community and in the broader tabletop gaming community, right? Just talking to people about what they like and what they want, and that sort of stuff's been great. So yeah, we really appreciate you guys partnering with us, and we look forward.
We love it. Thanks for bringing us in. It's great.
Okay, cool. All right, I know you've got other questions to answer, Steve, so I'm going to drop off and let you get to it. And if anybody has any questions, you can find me on the Troll Lord Games Discord or on our own, and Chuck can direct you if you can. All right.
That sounds perfect. Thanks for joining us, Hal. Sure appreciate it, man. All right. Well, that's a huge amount of information. All that kind of broke today. They've been working on this stuff for weeks, Chuck and Hal, to get to A0 up, and we've had to make tokens and Chuck's been asking me for resources. What do you call them, Chuck? Assets? Is that what you call them?
Yeah, that would be the proper term.
Yeah, that's the proper term for it. For weeks, and I just haven't been giving them to him. So, that finally cracked about 10 days ago. So we've aggressively moved into it, and it's very cool. And I got to say, especially with the camera option, I think it'll be, I don't know, make it so much easier. Piper, you mentioned earlier, we're a couple of old men. It's just the way I game. I feed off of the players. If I can see the players, I can feed off of their energy, and I can see if something's working or if something isn't working. And if it's not working, I can shift gears really quickly. And that's always my issue with doing the online gaming, whether it's a Zoom meeting or Shard Tabletop, whatever it is. If I can't see the players, and I've got from the way I run games, I've got a little bit of a problem. But if we're integrating video into all of this stuff as clearly as we can do, then I think that I don't know, it's pretty cool. And I got to tell you that what Hal did there with the token when he chose token from the web, and you can snatch a picture that you want your character to look like, plop it in the token, and then minimally, even if everyone else everyone else at the table isn't absorbing the cool factor of what you've got there, minimally you've got in your own mind, you have something to fire up your own imagination, which is obviously what one of the huge benefits of the web is. Just pretty freaking awesome. Yeah, Piper, I'm with you. I'm so slow to learn technology, and it's not that I can't do it. I think that I don't want to do it. I call it the button effect. Buttons are too much. I got to stay with the toggles. I can't do any more buttons. Toggles, we reached it. It's just the button effect, and it's just me kind of shifting into something new, learning and absorbing all of this stuff. And then, of course, there's multiple platforms. You've got Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds, and I'm missing one, Foundry. So you got multiple. Yeah, there's just multiple platforms that you're going to find the one you're comfortable with, and clearly Shard is looking pretty damn awesome and pretty easy, and I like easy. I don't like anything complicated. I don't have to read anything. Those days are over. But at any rate, if anyone has any questions about anything else that we're doing and about this VTT stuff, just let us know. We got a Kickstarter that we got. Do what?
Getting ready to go Kickstarter.
Yeah. Yeah, the elephant in the room. Yeah, we've got a Kickstarter we're running right now. It's got like 36 hours left to it, 30 hours, something like that. We're closing that guy down tomorrow. It's looking real good. Also, a whole bunch of stuff shipping. We've got new releases, all kinds of goobly-doop. And, of course, I've been hard at work on the rune spells and the planescapes material for Castles and Crusades in the World of Air. Just absolutely a mountain of stuff. Steve, what books are you reading right now? So where's that book? I just finished 2 days ago a history of the 10th century called Death and Life in the 10th Century. It's written in 1968. Very, very good history book, just about France, really, and Germany during the 10th century. Extraordinarily eye-opening. In fact, it led to quite a inspirational piece for what's going to eventually be C0 and have a monastery. But then I kind of wandered around lost for a day or so trying to find something, and I have stumbled upon The Strategy of Ancient Sparta, which is a book that's I'm in the introduction right now, just started it yesterday. Basically, he's breaking down how the Spartan society was formed and how it actually functioned, and then after that, he's going to go into all of the I don't want to say strategies, it's not battles, but I guess the strategies, the overall arching Spartan approach to the war with Persia. So it's not really a strategic study, it's just a whole cultural military study of Sparta's approach to its war with Persia. I really don't know what got me into that. It was on the shelf and I pulled it, and first couple of sentences, I always like the Spartans. The Spartans fascinate the living crap out of me. I love those guys. Let me go get it. I'll have to, it's right on the table out here. There's not many. I can't find it. It's somewhere around here. But my son went searching for it, so he'll find it somewhere. Let's see. I also want a leather spell book, but I'll top up later in the backer. Yeah, we have added. Oh yeah, no problem, Commander. Yeah, there just wasn't that much interest in the actual merchandising pack over on the Kickstarter. I bought the Codex, the Celtic Codex. By the way, just reading through the PDF, and by golly, it's a fantastic. Yeah, Brian is a fantastic writer, and he has got such a handle on that, the mythologies, especially the Celtic stuff. And that's what he did his. He's fluent in Gaelic, and he did all of his studies on Celtic culture, Celtic mythology, stuff like that. So that really is right up his. Did you find it? Yes, that's the one. Yes. So this one is called. Yeah, that was. Yeah, I tried to start reading Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. It bored me. I think that's actually what led me into the grand strategy of ancient Sparta. That is what I have just started reading. If I can get that in the camera. An excellent book. So far, it's an excellent book. We'll see. These days, you gotta, younger historians, you kind of gotta be a little bit careful about, because it's, they get a little, I don't want to say judgmental, I don't know, a little political. And, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, I don't believe that expression, history is written by the victors. I think that's a political expression made to confuse people. History is actually written by historians, and you want your history to be as free of their whatever, agenda that is possible. A historian can't completely remove their cultural, origins from the history that they're writing. But that's what you go to school for, you get your PhD for, is how to actually extract that from your approach to history so you can write about it objectively. My dad used to actually say, no good history is written about an event until 100 years after, until everyone that was involved with it is dead. So there's probably a little bit of truth to that. And he may have been quoting someone, I don't know. Tegea, yes, absolutely, Piper Dog. Tegea is a very Spartan-esque community in the world of Erd. Obviously, Codex Verdes, Troll Lord Games' world setting. How's it going, Blazing Ice? Thanks for joining us. We're here for the Ask Me Anything. We talked about Shard Tabletop not long ago, and now we're just kind of meandering around wherever. I don't know. Spartan history always, there's something about the polity of Sparta that I feel like we miss all the time. So we always focus on, Thermopylae and the military and all of this stuff. But I think that we miss something in the understanding of Sparta, at least in the cultural sphere. I have a suspicion in the historical sphere they've got a better handle on it. Is there any way to get the player's handbook in a 12 by 18 poster, like the free tribute cover? I didn't really want the canvas prints, but would love them as posters. Oh, now that's an interesting thought, Retro. I don't think we offered that at all. And you clearly know that we didn't offer that at all. Holy crap, we sure didn't we? You know what? Let me look at that. That would make a fantastic stretch reward.
We talked about that.
But those... Did we talk about that?
Some people just want to have that poster above their bed, like Lonnie Anderson,
Yeah. I was a Farrah Fawcett
really?
fan.
Interesting. That's Lonnie.
Yeah, I had Farrah Fawcett and damn it. I remember the blue bikini. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
It might have actually, I think it was Farrah Fawcett in the blue bikini. Stephen, did you ever play, anyway, SPQR by Mary Beard is a fantastic read. Oh, check it out. Very cool. That is Roman history. Stephen, did you ever play war games back in the day? Oh yeah. That's how we started. Davis got Dungeons and Dragons in 76, I think. He got the little brown books. They were a gift given to one of my dad's soldiers was doing a hardship tour in Korea, and had to give, you can't take anything, and he didn't have any family, whatever. So he gave my mother this little stack of D&D books. There was no box with it. It was about 6 or 7 little D&D books. I remember I was in the parking lot was about 7. I was in the parking lot. Cheryl Teagues, that's who it was, in the blue bikini. I was in the parking lot, and when he gave, I don't remember him so much. I remember his uniform, but I do remember my mom taking him. She gave him to Davis for his birthday, and that started Davis playing D&D. And about a year later, maybe a year and a half later, I started playing the game with him. So we played a little bit of D&D, but about that, so he had been into Dungeons and Dragons for a while. We were both into comic books. And then he branched out during that year. He branched out into wargaming when he started going to these game and hobby shops, which in those days were small little shops tucked away in the corner of someone's house or a strip mall, or they were just tiny little things filled with stacks of archaic material, what have you. It was really cool. But anyways, so he got into the Avalon Hill stuff. I remember one of the first games I played with him was Vikings. I think that's an SPI game, actually, but Avalon Hill SPI. But we played the Lord of the Rings game. That also was an SPI game. Guns of August was my favorite Avalon Hill game. There was Caesar. I mean, there's so many of those games. So we board gamed. Davis and I board gamed as much as we played D&D in those days. And we played all of them. And then he went on. We moved to Germany in 1980, I think. And at that point, he kind of got his gaming group. I got mine. I shifted out of board games. I would still do them with Davis, but he still played a lot of board games. And then he played a lot of role playing. He also did something I never did. He did an RPG play by mail, a Hyborian Age play by mail RPG, which is really cool. I've got his notes out there somewhere. Squad Leader. Oh yeah, Squad Leader is a good game. Oh yeah. For accurate history, you have to read many perspectives and target culture and outside. Absolutely. 42 is 100% spot on right there. If you want to read about Sparta, don't read one book, read about 3, and from different authors, so you can start getting a much rounder picture of what's going on. I believe bulk history is written by historians with government watching. I did enjoy your point of read something, then keep finding it. Yeah, it's really, you got to do it. You got to just jump from person to person. I read a lot of Native American history, and those histories are so, especially those written post 1985, 1990, they're so filled with hyperbole about what the Indians, what the Native Americans were or were not, that it's difficult to get a kind of an analytical study of them. We're beginning to get more analytical study of those cultures, but you really got to branch out. You just really have to branch out. And Vietnam War is another perfect example. I went through a spate of trying to understand the Vietnam War, what had happened, and all of this business. And there's so much emotion in that. Books written in the 80s and the 90s. Oh my Lord, it just filled with emotion. Oh yeah, Squad Leader. I've still got those somewhere in the little trays. Absolutely. SPQR is pretty good. Tom Holland's Rubicon and Dynasty are great takes on ancient Roman history. I'll check them out. What I like to do is I like to buy a good number of books on a subject, say like Sparta. I'll have like 6 or 7 books just sitting on the shelf, and I don't read them until I'm suddenly in the mood to read about Sparta, and then I can go and read, and I've got the books right on hand. I don't have to wait for them to come in or what have you. Now I've graduated to crack cocaine, advanced Squad Leader. Absolutely. See, is this the book Death and Life in the 10th Century? Yes, absolutely. Eleanor Shipley Duckett, absolutely. Canadian ancient gamer. Fantastic book. Now, her language is a little stilted in places. It's almost as if it's written in a foreign language. I didn't actually check to see where she was from. If it was written in a non-English language and then translated, because some of it's just a little stilted. But it's a very, very, very good read and very eye-opening for the culture of medieval Europe. We all are 10th century Europe. We always hear about the battles and the kings and all of this other stuff. That's the first section of that book, the first half of that book. The second half of that book is a cultural study of art, literature, religious movements, all kinds of, and it's just really good stuff, especially the sections on the monasteries. I had no idea. I mean, I am not unread in history. I've read quite a bit, but I had no idea that there was a playwright, a female, a nun, who wrote I think it's 17 plays or 13 plays, and a whole bunch of poetry. And these were kind of famous in her day. And, especially in today's climate, we've kind of recast women in roles of, oblivion, like they didn't exist, when clearly that wasn't the case. And it was so refreshing to read that. And this book was written in the 1960s. So Really, really recommend. I mean, if you're into medieval history, like I said, she's a little bit stilted in her language somewhat, but the book is mind-numbingly informative. I definitely would pick it up if you can. Though it's an old book, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you'll be able to snatch it as easy. What are the plans for the land of spell cards? Are they going to double as playing cards like the Adventure Backpack cards, or will they be dedicated spell cards? Not like anyone is going to play poker with their spell cards. We're probably going to do a dedicated spell card. I really like the Adventurers Backpacks being a card deck. I play solitaire with mine all the time, so I just really like it, and I like the dual functionality of that thing. But probably on the spell cards we're going to go simple, mainly because it's got a lot of information on there anyways. Some of those spells are complicated, and we're going to have to break all of that crap down and get it onto a card, because I want the face, or what is the face? Whatever. I want art on the one side, and then just the spell on the other. I don't have to flip the card and that crap. Max Hastings, Vietnam, is good. I don't think I've read that. I'll tell you. So I plugged this, Vic. I plugged this book. I can get this one real quick. I know where it is. I say that. Nope. Damn it. It's right there. So, this, when I was reading A History of the Vietnam War, this one, see, you guys got me going off on books, and I could talk about books all day. This is A Better War, the unexamined victories and final tragedy of America's last years in Vietnam by Louis Sorley. I cannot recommend this book enough. It is a very dispassionate view of the Vietnam War that kind of breaks it down in its historical context. It's extraordinarily good book. I would track that down if you can. You were completed a master's in history back in China. Yeah, I had already finished my master's degree, and I was in my second semester of work on my PhD when I shut that down because Trollord was picking up steam. We had signed Gary Gygax and all that stuff. So I kind of jumped out of the history game and jumped into the game. Well, that sounded weird. And now I just read history. I read history for pleasure. That's what I read. I don't really even read any fiction anymore. It's just all history. Did you get one? It's a good book. I thoroughly enjoyed that book. I'm going to ask again. Sorry, Steve. 6K screen update. Man, that thing is just log jammed. I can't find any of the paper that I need to make it happen here. My secondary, my other solution to the thing to have it UV coated, to have the standard sticky bag paper UV coated, that hasn't played out. I've still got a little bit of experimenting with that, but it doesn't look like it's going to work. So it's just, I don't know where we are on that. I'm going to have to abandon the heavy screens and go with just a standard screen. I need to get with, I've tried to have a 4-panel screen made. I need to just back up and see if I can have 2-panel screens made somewhere. Otherwise, we're going to end up doing that Green Lantern, I think that's what I'm going to do, is the old school stock, because it's just too much. And I think that part of the issue, and I could be completely wrong on this is kind of a guess on my part of the issue with some of this material is, as the print industry has moved heavily into the digital, they don't have the ability to do a wider variety of things, if that makes sense. Like, we've got our own digital printer here at TLG, and I can only print up to a certain size. And even that size, because of the way the rollers work, you lose a 1/2 inch on the top and the bottom, because the paper has to go, something has to grab the paper. So even then, if we print posters in-house, we have to trim them down and all that stuff, because it's just the way the whole digital approach is made. Whereas an offset, of course, you've got gigantic machines that you can get in and do stuff with. So I think things have changed just a little bit, and I could be wrong on that. I might be barking up the wrong trees, but that screens have been on my mind a lot lately. It's something I don't game without screens. So the idea that that we don't have screens and have not had screens for over a year actually is a huge problem, I think, for TLG, and a growing problem with TLG. And we keep talking about history all the time. I'm going to seriously have to reconsider my viewing objects. Yeah, so I could jabber history all day and all night, and I'm so very lucky because my daughter has gone into the history field as well. So she and I talk constantly. She's in college now. We're always zip-zapping back and forth between things we read, and it's very cool to watch her kind of morph into someone who just looks at history and looks at these events as they're told to us, and now into someone who looks at these events and goes, okay, wait a minute. Did it happen that way, or is that this, or who did this, and why was, and what's the cultural ramifications, and how did terrain and language, and it's nice to see. Even though I prefer landscape, this original screen just screams old school and has a lot of fond con memories. I gotta say, with these cover pieces that Jason Walton has done, or he's finished the Player's Handbook, and we have the CKG done here, and the tribute, the free tribute cover. They got to be on a screen. They just have to. They absolutely have to be on the screen. So I got to solve this issue. I got to solve this issue sooner rather than later. Let's see. I don't think I could ever like history, no matter how sexy Steve makes it sound. You just got to get the right books. You got to get the right books, because some of it can be asininely, boringly dry. Some of it is just, it'll make your teeth fall out. But some of it is funny. Some of it is amazing. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff that you find that's just absolutely crazy. I think we're being raided by Crow01. Hello, Crow. Thanks for the raid. Even though I'm going to see, anyway, I was joking. I'll be here whatever. Why not just finish everything? Yeah, I wish we could. I got to tell you, it's things. I will say this. Things have freed up in the past few months now that Keltarum, Egyptium, and Gaxmore are off the desk. I actually worked on Memorial Tomb yesterday for about 2 hours, so that was very refreshing because I want to get that done. And then, but I've been writing. I've been spells for the rune spells. I want to have all those done in about 2 weeks from now. I should, maybe 3, but 2 weeks. And after that, I dive into the planes. So things are moving, and the screens are one of these things that need to be solved so that we can move beyond it. It's not that bad. Great Babe history books are great resources for ideas and adventures. They really are that. They are chock full of it. Or something. Yeah, skip the first. Just go right to chapter 1, Great Babe. Don't listen to those. Don't read those damn introductions. Those things are. I used to read them all because I'm kind of a completionist, but not anymore. I just skip right through them. I have to bring up Tom Holland again. His writing style is narrative while it's still based in fact. Highly entertaining stuff. Tom Holland, we've talked about him before, but now it's fiction, right? I heard Gary Con 21 has gone virtual only. I was actually considering going next. Yeah, it's down. They called it yesterday, I believe. So that one's out. I think there's a chemical in my brain that just makes it shut off. There's many people like that, and a lot of the historians are boring. Let's face it. A lot of these history books you purchase, you start reading, and it's slow. And I like one I put down. I wanted to know. This is a few months ago. I want to know more about Alfred the Great. I watched the Last Kingdom. The Last Kingdom, fantastic show, and I liked their portrayal of Alfred the Great, and so I wanted to know more. But I got this book, ordered it, and this is a problem with not going to the bookstore, but I ordered it, and the first 2 pages of that book, I shit you not, the first 2 pages was the discussion of one sheet of paper that they had found about Alfred, and the various discussions about the way that sheet of paper, that writ or whatever it was, I can't remember now, was interpreted by various historians. And after 2 pages of this, I was like, all right. And the book's like 800 pages or 600 pages. I was like, all right, I'm not, no way. This is going to be 600 pages of this. I am not reading this. Just give me your take, and then I'll get another book. It was really funny. I see River Martone. Any idea when it'll get completed? Well, Canadian, the hard thing of that, we're done. He's done with the book, the maps, the art. That's all done. I'm getting the box. I'm going to try to get that box to the printers this week. It took me a long time to figure out how to size the art to fit on the box, That's done. So that'll be done. And then I think we've already begun or are in the process of getting people on to convert. But the key to the release are those final two books that he's got to write. And they're very short. They're like 20 pages, 24 pages a piece. Now, I've talked to him a bit. COVID hit his valley up there, so he's had to struggle with that. I believe his wife is kids at home, and now it's just a mess, as we all have. But I'm pressing him to have the manuscripts done before Christmas. I would really like this thing done before Christmas. It would be really ideal for everybody, for him, for Benoit, for Ernie, for everybody. That is what we're shooting for. Well, Ernie's an old friend of mine. I didn't mind taking it on, and hopefully he was talking about doing new work, so we'll see. I'll have to check him out. Tom Holland. Why do I know that name? Have we talked about him before? I think we have. My brain is. Wait a minute. Oh, that's the actor. The actor came up. I don't think that's who you're talking about. About 200 pages or notes. There you go. And let's see. How is NPC? I'm going. So Davis gave me an update on that last week. He's got the Player's Handbook and the Adventurer's Backpack classes in there. He's finished all but 8 of them, I think. So we're moving towards the end game of that project. We're really hoping in the next very soon that he's done with it. I pulled some of it out, begun organizing it.
Steve,
got caught up. Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to let you finish your thought, but I do have a question. Is there individual art for each NPC or just some of them?
No, there's going to be thousands of NPCs in there, thousands and thousands.
But as far as art goes,
yeah, no way in hell. There's too many NPCs. Probably the way we're going to do it, he's done pictures. We've got a guy named Finn, a bunch of pictures for it, but there's charts in there that are going to be like, I think it's like 120 NPCs in the chart. So those aren't going to be. There's not going to be any pictures for those.
Anyway, I have some thoughts about that. Maybe we can talk about it later. But yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Piper, the CKG will have a leather book that matches the MNT and the PHP without a doubt. There you go. Spider-Man in the History Channel. I'll have to check him out. Steve, who wrote with Iron Hill, The World Grinds Away, and what was the inspiration for that line? It's really evocative. I wrote that, Decimus, when I was trying to pitch Aird as a setting where there's both history in it, because that's one of the major parts of the history of Aird, but also action as well. And there's this old history book called, I think it's Of Blood and Iron, and it's a history of Bismarck's Prussia.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, I think you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And that iron in that title has stuck with me. So when I was trying to create some kind of text that introduces Aird and do it quickly, that I think that just kind of rolled out with me. The idea of iron shod boots just works really well. But obviously, in this case, heel does even better because I don't know, it just feels better. Blood and Iron is one of Bismarck's famous quotes. There you go. That's probably why it stuck into my into my noodle page for so long.
Speech or something he gave, if I remember right. I don't know. I'm rusty.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I cut my teeth on German and Austrian history, but I've since kind of wandered on. I haven't read any German history in a while. Let's see. I love Egyptian history the most, but the Roman and Greek stuff. I will tell you this: the Egyptians, they have the best. I've said this many times. The Egyptians, of all of the Homo sapiens that have walked this earth, the Egyptians looked the coolest. So they win. They absolutely win. The American GI in World War II is pretty cool. Native American Pawnees were awesome looking, but the Egyptians, they just win. They just win.
I want to test something.
All right.
You guys hear me in chat now?
All right.
They're saying they can't hear me.
I can hear you.
We're in a call together. But the point is that this whole bringing stuff in, audio and video from Skype is kind of crazy. You should see all the sources. Oh, they said they can hear us. Bifford said they couldn't.
Well, there you go. That didn't work.
No, fix my PC. I built another one, but the one that I still have I work on is older than crap. I'm hoping that maybe Santa Troll will come see me. I don't know what'll happen with that, but we'll see. Probably not, because I noticed there's a big purchase of Dr. Pepper the other day on a barge going up the Mississippi. So I don't know.
Got to be prepared.
New Trollord.
I see new Trollord game product coming out. Can you say what? Well, I mean, in the damn near future is the Lost City of Gaxmore for 5e. But what we're most excited about next year is the Planescapes, Austrag, completing Austrag, the Planescapes, the Amazing Adventures new printing, and then the World of Venus, the Terraformed Venus. And we're probably looking at a third printing in the World of Air. So we're really looking at next year's being a massive push into the planes, the Rings of Brass, all of those. The Rings of Brass are those things that tie the worlds together. So that's what we're most excited about. I'm most excited about.
I'm excited about having a merchandise store. Is what I'm excited about. So I can.
I was about to say, what I'm most excited about is what we're going to be doing anyway. So I hope everyone's excited about it.
Yeah, Grape. I hadn't told him yet. I was waiting until November, so I guess it's as good as time as any. We were talking. Me and Grape's been talking about doing an advent calendar.
Oh, that would be interesting. We did a virtual one a few years ago. You'd have Tim set that thing up, but I don't know. That'd be kind of interesting. I got the Trollord Christmas card from Jason Walton. Holy shit, I gotta go. I got the Trollord Christmas card. It looks badass this year. It's a train see it. With all the trolls leaping off the train.
Oh, cool.
Super pumped about that. And see, I don't want the trolls to get a big head, but I normally do not like polar settings. I always did my own, but when I came across Aird, I was sold, totally in line with my. Oh, thank you, Piper. Thank you. Yeah, Aird. It's just we want to pump a lot more into it. So, good stuff. Obligatory bi-monthly question on the progress of the new CKG. Any updates? So the book's edited. It's gone to the proofer, and he's done with chapter 1. And that I need to just take that, drop it into layout, and that goes to Peter. We're going to adjust the layout somewhat because I want it to mimic the layout that's going to be in the Player's Handbook 8th printing. And Peter and I were talking about that today. So I'm really hoping by Monday or Tuesday, we are beginning to put templates together for those pages on the CKG. And we'll cut them, we'll cut our teeth on that so we have the Player's Handbook already set up and ready to go.
You're going to laugh when I ask this. Is there any new art in that book? Just ask.
In the CKG?
Is there?
Yes, we are going to clean out. We're going to clean out some of those maps or some of that art and put some new art in it. So it'll be kind of a swap. Yeah, you and your art. Green Lantern, we got it. We will set up. Chuck and Tim will send it out, and we'll have a list. If you want a Christmas card, all you got to do is send us your address, and we'll put your Christmas card in the mail. That's all you got to do. And I love our Christmas cards. I mean, Jason does a fantastic job.
Yeah, I'll make a. You know what? Have you ever considered if you can remind me, I'll do it. I'll make a point to. This week to make a post on all the fronts. Maybe we'll do like a email or something.
Yeah, we need to do it now because I'd like that card to go out first week of December.
Yeah, the Christmas cards are to die for. They're awesome.
Oh yeah. Have you ever considered on partnering with Reaper minis to have special minis released? We've talked to them a couple of times about that. And I don't really know why the conversations, and I know Ron over there, we've known each other for 20 years. I don't know why the conversations never went anywhere, but they just did. I think they didn't. They just played out. We are huge fans of Reaper, absolute huge fans. We used to do in the beginning, we would do these giant product swaps where they would just bring over boxes of miniatures to the Trollord booth, and we'd bring over boxes of books to the Reaper booth. It was a lot of fun. Hey, Lisa and I are working on a project together that we're both super excited about. More on that in the very near future. Reaper Mini TLG Advent sounds magical. All right. Yep, great. Just sign up for it. No, we got Christmas cards. I do them every year. We need to do something with those Christmas cards. All right, I got a split. Actually, I'm fixing to get in trouble. So thank you all for showing up for Ask Me Anything. I'll be back on Thursday. We're doing some Jim's Tricks of the Trade. And there's a good chance we're going to do a crazy crash Twitch in the next 24 hours talking about this Kickstarter and all this business. But we will, we probably won't let anybody know. I'll probably just say, Chuck, I'm streaming live on Twitch. And that's the way that's going to play out. But I got to run. You all have a great rest of your week. And I sure appreciate you showing up and jibber jabbering to me today. And we will see you hopefully on Thursday at 4.